You know how you can tell when something is off, but you can't quite explain it? That's how it started. A Wednesday morning, pale sunlight spilling through the blinds, the bathroom smelling faintly of toothpaste and warm steam. I was rinsing my face. My eyes caught my own in the mirror. And then, a half-second lag. A tiny, almost imperceptible pause before my reflection followed. I stood there, dripping water onto the counter, trying to figure out if I'd imagined it. I must have been tired. Had to be. That night, brushing my teeth, I saw it again. The reflection jerked, just slightly out of time, like a jump in an old VHS tape. My stomach tightened, but I laughed it off, because what else was I going to do? Tell someone my mirror was running slow? By Thursday, it was worse. I'd lift my hand to touch my cheek, and wait. 1 second, 2, 3, and then it would follow, deliberate, delayed, as if something on the other side had to decide to move. Thursday night, I kept my eyes down, brushed my teeth staring into the sink, but something made me look. It was already staring at me, my reflection, motionless, unblinking, not breathing. My mouth went dry. I whispered, "What's wrong with you?" It smiled, slowly, too wide, skin stretching until I swore I could hear it. And it wasn't my smile. Friday morning. It wasn't just slow anymore. It was out of sync entirely. I leaned toward the mirror. It stayed perfectly still. Then, it raised its hand. Not mine. Its. The sound in the room seemed to thin out, leaving only the faint hiss of static. Its palm pressed flat against the glass. And that's when I felt it, warmth blooming against my wrist. From inside, fingers curled, gripping me. I yanked back, stumbling away. The bathroom door slammed shut behind me. I haven't opened it since, but sometimes, when I walk past, I hear the faint, patient sound of knuckles tapping on glass, and a voice, so close it could be my own, whispering, "Let me catch up."
It's strange how a long drive at night can make the rest of the world feel unreal. After the first hour, the darkness outside stops looking like night at all. It's just a solid wall beyond the headlights. After the second, the road stops feeling like it's taking you anywhere. You're not going somewhere, you're just moving. And after the third, the car feels like the only thing that exists. The rain was steady tonight, falling in a slow, endless rhythm that blurred the windshield into streaks of silver. The wipers kept the same mechanical beat they'd been keeping for miles. My headlights carved out a narrow tunnel in the dark, illuminating nothing but wet pavement and the twin yellow lines that rose up to meet me and fell away behind. I was the only one out here. Had been for hours. No headlights in my rear view, no taillights ahead. Still, I kept looking in the mirror, not for other cars, not for cops, not for anything logical, just to make sure it was still empty. It's only now, thinking back, that I realize I'd been doing that the whole night, maybe even before tonight. And every time I looked, there was a tiny flicker of expectation, like part of me wanted to see something there. And then, eventually, I did. He was sitting in the middle of the back seat, hands folded neatly in his lap, head tilted just slightly downward. Not enough to hide his face, but enough to make me feel like I was intruding by looking at him. The pale green dashboard light caught the edge of his cheek and jaw, and for a moment, I thought I saw his skin moving, like something breathing just beneath it. I didn't slam on the brakes. I didn't swerve. I didn't even react, not outwardly. Because deep down, I had the horrible, sinking certainty that this wasn't the first time I'd seen him, that maybe he'd been there all along. When I blinked, he was gone. The back seat was empty again, and I told myself that was good. But a colder, quieter part of me whispered that it was worse. I kept driving. The rain stayed the same. The road stayed the same. The only thing that changed was the weight in my chest, pressing harder every mile. When I looked again, he was there, closer this time, sitting slightly to the left, as though he'd moved but didn't want me to notice. His eyes were open now, fixed directly on the back of my head. I didn't turn around. That's when I heard him breathing. It was slow at first, almost careful, like he was trying not to be heard, but wanted me to notice anyway. Each inhale was smooth, but every exhale ended with a faint wet rasp, as if the air was moving through something it shouldn't. After a while, I realized the breaths were syncing with mine. Then, they weren't. I pressed harder on the gas pedal. The hum of the engine deepened into a low growl, but the breathing in the back seat didn't change. It stayed right there with me. When I finally dared to check the mirror again, his face was closer still, so close I could see the faint texture of his skin in the dim light. But there was something wrong about it. His skin wasn't skin. It had the smooth, seamless look of something made, not born. A surface, a mask. And then I realized his lips weren't moving when he breathed. I swerved hard onto the shoulder, tires screaming against wet asphalt, and slammed the gear into park. My chest heaved, hands shaking on the wheel. I turned around, empty. But this time, the emptiness didn't feel right either. It felt staged, like he'd simply stepped out of sight. I sat there for a long moment, the rain hammering the roof, my breath fogging the air. I thought about just leaving the car there, stepping out into the rain, and walking until my legs gave out. But I didn't. I put the car back in gear. I kept driving, and eventually I turned forward again. That's when I saw him. Not in the back seat, not in the mirror, in the passenger seat. He was turned slightly toward me now, as if studying my face. His eyes were black in the dashboard light, and as I stared at him, something shifted in my memory. It wasn't like remembering a person. It was like remembering a place. Somewhere I'd been before. Somewhere dark. Somewhere without shape or time. I knew in that moment that it had been watching me. Not just in the car tonight. Not just in my life. Always. In the passenger seat when I was a child, staring out the window on long drives. In the back row of every classroom, head slightly bowed, reflected in shop windows just as I walked by. And now it decided to be seen. My knuckles whitened around the steering wheel, but I didn't swerve this time. I didn't stop. He leaned in slightly, so close I could feel the faint heat radiating from him. Heat that didn't belong to anything alive. And in a voice that wasn't a whisper and wasn't a sound, he said, "Keep driving." And I knew I would, because the road wasn't leading anywhere. It never had. It was just the only place left to go.
I take the same route to work every morning. I could drive it half asleep. And honestly, most days I probably do. Same stop signs, same cracks in the asphalt, same neon glow from the liquor store that's been closing down soon for 10 years, but never actually closes. But this morning, something was different. At the four-way stop near 9th Street, there should have been a brick wall and a chain-link fence. I've known that corner since I was a kid, cutting through back alleys on my way to school. But today, where that wall should have been, there was a road. A whole street. Narrow, perfectly paved. Too perfect. The asphalt didn't have a single pothole or oil stain. No parked cars, no trash cans waiting for pickup, not even a mailbox in sight. Just a row of houses with their windows dark. And the strangest part, the street sign was blank, just a green rectangle with nothing written on it. I sat there for a moment, staring. My stomach turned in a way I can't describe, like I was watching something that wasn't meant to be watched. But curiosity has a way of getting the better of you. Against every reasonable instinct, I turned the wheel and drove down. The city sounds faded almost immediately. No cars, no voices, no wind in the trees, just the low rumble of my engine and the faint hiss of my tires on the smooth blacktop. The houses looked wrong. They weren't run down or abandoned exactly, but each one looked copied and pasted, lined up like models in a showroom. Same porch, same curtains, same angle of the shutters, and every window was dark. About halfway down the block, I realized I wasn't alone. People were standing on the sidewalks. I don't know how I missed them at first. They weren't moving, weren't talking, just standing there, evenly spaced, every head tilted slightly toward my car. My headlights caught their faces, pale, featureless in the glare, like the light slipped over them without landing. Their eyes, though. Their eyes reflected back, glowing faintly, like a cat's. I pressed down on the gas, heart hammering. The car sped up, but the street seemed to stretch longer, like the houses were repeating in a loop. Every time I glanced in the mirror, more figures filled the sidewalks, lining the road behind me. Then I made the mistake of looking again. They were in the street now, behind me. Hundreds of them standing shoulder to shoulder, closing off the way I came. And though they were far back, I swear I saw their mouths move. Not words, just shapes, like they were silently rehearsing something. I drove faster. My hands were slick on the wheel, my pulse pounding in my ears. But no matter how far I went, the road didn't end. It should have led to another cross street. It should have intersected somewhere. But it didn't. It was just the same stretch of cloned houses and faceless people. Then, a bend in the road. Sharp, sudden, unnatural. I whipped the wheel and followed it, tires squealing, and in the blink of an eye I was back at the four-way stop. The liquor store, the cracked asphalt, the hum of the city rushing back all at once, as if someone had unmuted the world. Behind me, the road was gone, just a brick wall and a chain-link fence. For a moment I sat there shaking. My breath fogged the glass, hands locked on the wheel. The street wasn't there. It had never been there except... When I finally forced myself to look up into the rearview mirror, my blood froze. There was a smear of condensation across the back window, like someone had leaned forward, pressed their face against the glass, and written in long, wet streaks, "See you tomorrow."